is Tuesday, the 14th day of the month of October, a sports equinox month, and what a month it's been already, and we haven't even technically hit the halfway through it point, and we're rocked and loaded and ready to go tonight, starting this thing off with a bang, as if I am Teoscar Hernandez and Mack is Jackson Churio, as we got a 1-1 game in the beer-making city right now in Game 2 of the NLCS. We will obviously talk about that. A guy who I think missed the prototypical rub some dirt on it moment of all moments last night. We'll also talk about the ALCS and the Mariners bringing out the paddle to the Blue Jays as they head to the Pacific Northwest. And there's a lot of shit going on in the football world. No TJ tonight, but as always, my main man, my co-pilot, Vegas Mack. What is going on?
Oh, man. Yeah, it's a topsy-turvy football season. Let's just say that. There's a lot of things that we think or thought were going to happen in this football season that aren't happening. So, and there's a lot of openings too. Get your resume ready. A lot of football openings, both pro and yeah.
No freaking shit, man. We'll get to plenty of that stuff. Are you a fan of candy, Vegas Mack?
Candy? Yeah, I still go out trick-or-treating.
You go out trick-or-treating with your children, or you go out trick-or-treating? Because if you go out physically trick-or-treating, you and I are going to have a discussion that was not planned to be had tonight.
No, I dress up and I go with the kids, but I am the official distributor of candy when we get home. So all candy goes through me.
Well, that's a dad job requirement of all dad job requirements right there.
Well, it's like, oh, I like this one, so this is for me. Oh, I like this one, this one's for me, and then they get the scraps.
That's the way it's got to work sometimes. There's a reason I asked you that question.
All right.
Because you brought up topsy-turvy football season. My blog comes out tomorrow morning, and because we are close to the day that we pass out candy, which is, I love it, because you sit in the driveway, now that we can sit in a driveway and pass out candy to the neighborhood chitlins, you fill up a cooler of beer, and the adults are happy when they come to your house as the kids are. The last time I did that, I actually saw the same group of parents and kids multiple times. I mean, I got to give them credit there. But my blog tomorrow, in relation to the NFL, I brought a Halloween candy theme to it, and
oh, nice.
It has been. You said topsy-turvy, and I don't think that's a bad word at all. I say everything is just, to say what the kids are saying these days, just kind of mid. I think this is both a college football season and an NFL season, and we're at a significant checkpoint here. We're 6 and 8 weeks in, depending on which week zero things you believe or not, but we're at the third pole, if you will, in the NFL season. We can really kind of usually see who's who here. And I think I could name you 7 teams in college football that I think legitimately could win a national title. And I can name you about a dozen teams in the NFL that I think can win the Super Bowl. It's crazy.
It really is. And like I said, things that we really kind of sharpied in, really. I mean, there's some teams that I think we sharpied in both. Hey, what's going on?
I know her.
That we sharpied in, like, oh, this team's going to make the playoffs. And even in college, I think these are teams that, we think we're going to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It's not happening. And so there's just a lot of that. And just like I said, you look, I don't remember. I don't remember this many like openings in college football, like during the season. It's kind of interesting to me that, and I get it, because, with NIL, like, if you're going to get rid of your coach and you're going to get rid of your coach, get rid of your coach and set yourself up, because if you wait till the end of the season, oh, I know I'm leading you down that road. Oh no, I did it. I didn't mean to do it, but I'm doing it. But if you wait till the end of the season, you've lost. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Go ahead. I said I was just at a volleyball game, so maybe that's why I set you up so well.
I'm looking for a graphic right now. We're gonna get into it, obviously. Unless you were sleeping under a rock, Sunday was a bad day, as I mentioned this morning in my video on our social channels, at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. But I said, unless you were sleeping under a rock, Sunday was a bad day to be named Trent or James as far as it came to the college football world. And obviously, for those of you that might not know, I ask if you're even a sports fan, James Franklin finally shown the door. And when I say that, it sounds like I'm excited. Listen, let me get this out of the way right away here. None of us ever root for a coach to be fired. I'll give you a perfect example to turn it back my way before we talk about James Franklin. I've said what I've said about Billy Napier. If you've been paying attention enough, I love Billy Napier. I think he's a great dude. I think Billy Napier at Oregon State with this revamped Pac-12, fantastic kind of hire. I just don't think Billy Napier can get it done at the highest level, and that's not a knock. It's just some guys can and some guys can't. So flip it back to the most major thing of the weekend in James Franklin, which I don't think any of us were shocked by it. The buyouts, and we'll talk about buyouts here in a second, because these college coaches, the best job in America, people, those of you that are having kids and bringing new little ones into the world, I really, I'm going to teach them how to pitch left-handed. I'm going to make sure he or she can pass the bar. I'm going to make sure that they're throwing through nets and into trash cans and through tires, get that quarterback money. The best job you can set your child up for in the future is to be a college football coach who sucks at their job, and then you get canned because the kid is set for friggin' life. James Franklin's buyout, $49 million. And I know you've seen a bunch of reports here and there and everything else. He does have to attempt to get a job, which there's been some hilarious posts about that today on X. Go through and just search James Franklin. If he makes less than $8 million at said new job, Penn State has to pay him the difference between what he makes and $8 million. So I will be the first one that I know of. There could have been somebody else. But Coach Franklin, we really like you here. We really do. We have an opening. You can come join us on the Mike Arana Show once a week, and we will make sure that you are compensated and make sure that Penn State still has to pay the bulk of the business for you. What are you doing over there?
I know, videos are just popping up.
Jiminy Christmas. So, James Franklin, you have an offer to join us on the Mike Arana Show, but he's shown the door by Penn State. 128-67 bowl wins in his career. James Franklin will get any opportunity he wants to coach somewhere else if he so chooses. Mm-hmm. It just got to the point where it was enough for Penn State, and he didn't help his case when you get blown out and beat up, if you will, more beat up than blown out, by two teams you were favored to beat by 20 points after losing another top 10 game. That's not going to help your case.
No, I mean, that really, people were calling, after they lost to Oregon, and I don't think that was the right deal. I mean, we all know that he struggled against, the top ranked teams, but it's how you recover from that. I mean, listen, I mean, there's a lot of coaches, and we talked about it last week, even with Sark, although, his team played pretty well, that have struggled. I mean, if you're a good coach, and you play against good teams, let's be honest, you may not have a great record against good teams, but you put yourself in those positions. But listen, there's going to be a school, I don't know what school it is, but there's going to be a school that's going to be very happy that they got James Franklin. I mean, they're going to be ecstatic. They're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, look what we got! We got a guy who was, who's won big games, who's been at a Big Ten school." I mean, they're going to be ecstatic. They're going to greet him with open arms. The alumni is going to love it, and and all will be forgotten of what he really did at Penn State. It's just the way that it is. I mean, we've seen it, time and time again. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, it is. And by all accounts, I've never had the pleasure, and I will say pleasure, because everybody that I know that has personally dealt with James Franklin has nothing but great things to say about him. I mean, you're at one of the biggest brands in all of college sports and all of college athletics. And I would venture to guess that Penn State football I would put up there if I was going to name the top 50 brands in the United States when we talk about college or even pro teams across all sports. Penn State would be in your top 50. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's that kind of place. With that, obviously, comes some massive expectations. And it's crazy how fast this happened because if we go back to January, he was one win away from a natty. And now he's out of a job. So, and the other thing here, you know, and again, like I started this, Mac, in saying, when I say finally, it's not because I was rooting for him to not succeed there. I think there's a lot of people that wanted to see him succeed there. I say finally because I think it's in the best interest of both him and the university. But I think the thing that people forget in these scenarios where a head coach gets fired, you learn about the buyout and how much money James Franklin's going to make and this guy and that guy. But there's a lot of people involved in a college football staff. There's a lot of people barely scratching 50 grand a year and working 80 hours a week for these programs that are all also now looking for jobs. And that's the human part of this that I think at times people forget.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the glory of being a D1 head coach is definitely there, but he's not there if not for the people, his assistants that do a ton of the work. Let's be honest. But listen, he's going to be fine, and he's going to. And the thing is, some of those assistants are going to end up staying. Maybe we'll even get a look at maybe the head coaching job. I don't think so, but you never know. And when he goes to wherever he ends up, he's going to end up taking some of those assistants with him as well, for the most part. If they want to go. So that's it's all about connections. It's all about who you know and with the coaches and stuff. So, but yeah, it's like you said. I think you hit it perfectly. It's incredible to think that you have a coach that was one game away from a national championship, and here we are, 4 or 5 games into the next season, and he's gone.
Yeah, hell, they were a player or two away from beating Oregon just 2 weeks ago. And that's the thing is, like, we talked about this last year with Franklin and if he was going to get through and the talk was he was going to be fine. It's been something that's kind of lingered over the past couple of years. I wonder if they would have beat Oregon if it would have changed anything. I don't necessarily think so. But these coaching buyouts, Mac, are absolutely insane. And if I can find this here, if I can press the right damn buttons, that would be fantastic. But this is crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. And I think it's coming. There it is. I don't know how clear that is for everybody to see there, but it is the coaching buyouts list, and I have it here on another screen. So, largest college football coaching buyouts in 2025. Kirby Smart, $105 million. Ryan Day, $70 million. Kalen DeBoer, $60. Steve Sarkisian, $60. Dabo Swinney, $60. Mike Norvell, 58.7. Dan Lanning, 56.7, as does Kirk Cignetti at Indiana. Brian Kelly, 53.3. Franklin at 49.7 was 10th. The picture at the bottom there is the gentleman I would like to speak of, because this is what I don't understand right now. Billy Napier's buyout at the University of Florida is $19.3 million. That's not even in... Yeah, and shout out to our guys at inallkindsofweather.com, which is where I found this today, obviously, if you can see it out there in viewer land. Billy Napier is not even in the top 25 of largest buyouts. And when you think about the situation that's kind of unfolded in front of us this year, Mac, and you mentioned it kind of off the top, you talked about, hey, you can't remember a time when there's been this many coaching openings. Power 4 jobs that opened last year. This is also from our guys at inallkindsofweather.com on X. Power 4 jobs that came open in 2024. West Virginia, North Carolina, Central Florida, and Wake. Power 4 jobs already open midway through 2025. Penn State, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, UCLA. And the guys over at the site brought up the question, which batch of openings would you rather be competing with? I'm not sure what is happening And I get it, and maybe because, Nate, Billy, scared money don't make money, whatever you want to call him, maybe just because of the type of guy that he is, maybe that's clouding this. But I think there's a lot of Gator fans out there that have zero faith in their athletic director, Scott Strickland. He got the baseball stadium built, which helped build the football practice facility, which will help lure good coaches and good athletes to your school. This guy has massively failed as an athletic director in hiring coaches. Here's a funny thing I found on the schedule, and I felt comfortable enough when looking at this today. Florida plays Mississippi State, homecoming in Gainesville, 1:15 kickoff on the SEC network. By the way, Florida opened that game as a 10.5-point favorite.
Wow.
It's down to 8.5. That should show you whatever you need to know. After that, they have a bye week because the annual game with Georgia is coming up. I will promise you, if Florida loses this weekend, he is absolutely gone going into the bye week, and there will be an interim coach coaching the game against Georgia. I think there is a really good chance that even if he wins, there's still a chance he gets fired because of the bye week. You can't, if you're an athletic director, Mack, and you know this because of the circles that you've been in and your time in coaching and being an athlete at the college level. I can't imagine how this program that was once so proud can sit here and watch what's happening and hold on to this guy as a coach. I just don't get it. And I like Billy Napier, but it's a results-driven business.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you mentioned, one of the top 50 brands. I think Florida football falls into that category as well. Florida football is considered one of those things. You think of the lineage with Spurrier and with all the great players that they had. I mean, this is a team that is supposed to be competing not just for a conference championship on a yearly basis, but for a national championship. And let's be honest, it's been quite some time since they've done either.
Yeah, and it's mind-blowing to me. I mean, you've watched them a couple of times, and hell, even last year when they turned it on late, I mean, you were more on their side than I was last year.
Yeah.
You have DJ Lagway and Jaden Ball and Dallas Wilson and VB3, and I can keep going. I'm just naming some of the weapons that they have at Florida. Now you're running the risk of, if you drag this shit out too much longer, and I say the word shit because there was a lip readers out there have seen it. DJ Lagway on the bench this past weekend against Texas A&M. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you're going to risk losing the fantastic weapons that you have. And if you're holding on to Napier because you think those guys are going to leave, you should probably let go of Napier and get those guys something that makes them want to stay. And that's the fundamental thing that I don't think is being understood by Scott Strickland and the powers that be at Florida.
Well, I think the way I'm going to put this, I think says it all. They're probably the fourth best program in the state.
Right now, I wouldn't argue that.
Okay, that's a problem, right?
Maybe third. But right, well, okay, still.
Right there. But I mean, that's a problem. And football is so big in that state with the U with Florida State, you see. I'm like, you can't be the fourth best. The fourth best doesn't get you what you need to be successful in that state. So they're not even winning the state. So I said, you have to compete and be conference champs or national champs. They're not winning the state championship, if you will.
Yeah. Miami fans like to remind everybody that they're back-to-back state champions. Speaking of coaching, we mentioned all the jobs that are open. Penn State, Arkansas, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Stanford, Oregon State, UAB, and Kent State. Two things here. Number one, Kirk Cignetti is not leaving Indiana, even for Penn State. Number two, drop Dan Lanning's name out your mouth because he ain't leaving Oregon for anywhere probably other than Oregon. But there are going to be some other jobs, and this is why I think there needs to be some kind of urgency shown at the University of Florida. There are going to be other jobs that are open amongst the great ones that already are open. So let's play a little higher by real quick before we talk about some highlights of the weekend, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Higher by, Mac, that Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina are all looking for new coaches by next season, or for next season.
Boy, all three of them, huh? Ooh. I'll say you're high because I don't think all three of them. I definitely think there's something in North Carolina that doesn't smell right. Let's just kind of go there.
So many ways I can go with that one.
I know. I think. I mean, Florida State. Yeah, they've had a little bit of a struggle. I mean, after their really good start, I think they'll still be all right. But
A little bit of a struggle.
a little bit of a struggle. Yeah, a little bit.
Mike
of a struggle.
Norvell is 44, I believe, today. He was 42 the last time he won an ACC conference game.
Yeah, I know. Well, I still say probably just one of those three. One of those three get. We have somebody new.
All right. One of the three. All right, let's go to some highlights of the weekend. Feel free to comment along if you're watching along. We'll get as many of them up on the television screen or phone screen or tablet screen, however you're watching us. Maybe you're in a sports bar and you said, turn on the Mike Arana show. That's what you should have done, but
Absolutely.
get your comments up here. If you're a fan of one of those teams that has an opening right now, cool. If you're a fan of one of those teams who's got a coach that might get poached, like Oregon fans, I'd be very concerned with all these jobs open about Tosh Lapoy and Will Stein. Indiana fans, I'd be real concerned about Mike Shanahan and whether he leaves. I'd also be concerned if I was a USF fan about Alex Golesh. So if you're one of the fans of those programs, feel free to drop them in. Mac, we've got some highlights of the weekend. Mine was just realizing how much these guys make when they suck and they get fired. I wanted to pass on that piece of parenting advice because that should totally come from me. Give me your highlight of the weekend, or one of them.
I mean, I've got to go with the fact that Indiana goes into Oregon. We talked about how that's such a tough place to play. And there was a big black question mark hanging over the Indiana football program. And that big black question mark was, listen, can they beat anybody of significance? Well, your answer, yes, they can. I mean, to go into Oregon, again, one of the toughest places to play, and they didn't dominate that game, but they went head to head, toe to toe with, in essence, what's considered, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country, and they came out with a victory. I mean, that is a hats off. That is a great job by a program that is now for the second year in a row really adding another notch to their belt. That was a great win by a really good program.
No relation. Doesn't even look remotely close to them. Just has the same name. So you got Ross checking in. With that win, Indiana now moves up to the fourth best odds. English is easy for you. To win the national title, Ohio State at a plus 330. Bama is now second at a plus 700. Miami at a plus 800. Indiana at plus 900. Oregon still 10-1. Mm-hmm. I like this from an Oregon standpoint. I love it from an Indiana standpoint. And this is why I think that Kirk Cignetti is not going anywhere. Because Kirk Cignetti, I mean, hell, his press conference at Indiana, Google me, I win. That's a guy that not everybody has always believed in as a coach. I mean, hell, somebody posted a picture on X today, Mac, of the Nick Saban staff at Alabama in 2010, which Josh Pate also commented on and said it wasn't even his best staff, which I agree with. But the 2010 staff, there was a sideline shot, and you see a young Kirk Cignetti, Kirby Smart, and Nick Saban in the same picture. So
crazy.
Funny thing about when you're on camera, you don't usually want to do this while you're on camera, but we're learning things new every day. Yeah. It's the retirement
guy, right?
It's the retirement tour there. But I love it for Indiana because I believe in what he's doing. Penn State people have dreams, and you should have dreams. And if you're Penn State, the first call you should make is to Kirk Cignetti's representation. And, hey, is there any way we can get him over here? The reality of what you're arguably facing at Indiana or at Penn State is that Indiana and Kirk Cignetti, who has done a fantastic job with transfers, his quarterback is in the top of the Heisman odds right now, Fernando Mendoza. You should be worried if you're Penn State that you're about to lose the people that were coming in that were 5 stars and 4 stars and those recruits to Kirk Cignetti at Indiana rather than getting Kirk Cignetti to go to Indiana. For Oregon, I think it's interesting because this was an Oregon team, Mac, that not a lot of people talked about at the beginning of the year. Everybody expected Dante Moore to struggle and Oregon to regress a little bit and then go forward because Moore is so young. I think this is good for Oregon in the long run because when you look at the rest of Oregon's schedule, they're not really going to be tested. They have a high enough metric now, I think, just in how they'll finish the season and how Indiana will finish the season, because obviously Penn State's not helping them for beating Penn State, nor is Oklahoma State or Oregon State, for that matter. If you're a state school, you're just screwed right now unless it's in Ohio. But I think the thing with Oregon here is when you look at that schedule, they got a loss. They lost it at home. They should run the rest of the table. Likely can probably still angle their way into the Big Ten title game. But I think this is good for both of these schools for two completely different reasons. And the Big Ten is a really weird conference to follow what's going on in right now.
Yeah, and that actually kind of brings me. I'll just bring in my second point on that.
See, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we're just setting each other up. I mean, I don't know who's for real and for not, and so again, we can use this example, the example that really got. There you go, good old Antoine Randall L.
That'd be an interesting debate. Last year's team against the Randall L teams. I think this year's team, best Indiana's ever seen. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you take a team like, Ole Miss. I mean, like, what did they do last week? Oh my gosh. Like, they almost lost to Washington State. Like, I mean, and everyone's like, oh, well, they're looking ahead to this week. Yeah, but darn, if they lose, I mean, that's a big loss to them. I know it's not a conference game, but still, like they look terrible. And we've seen it again. Goes back to what we said at the top, kind of a topsy-turvy year. Alabama loses their first game. They don't look good. All of a sudden now they look really good. So there's just a lot of that. Part of that might be the schedule too. I mean, we're kind of getting, like you said, into the teeth of it, where it seems like every week there's 2 or 3 teams that are ranked that are playing each other, and hopefully we'll kind of sort things out here in a couple of weeks. But I agree. I don't think losing for Oregon is a bad thing, especially to that Indiana team. I mean, and that's what we have to talk about. It's like who you lose to. Again, I don't think the Penn State loss to Oregon was bad, but the last 2 weeks, that was.
Yeah, and just a couple more things here. This is Scott Strickland and or Billy Napier at Florida right now. Like I said, I'm not trying to bag on Billy. I really like him. I think he is a great dude, a good program builder. It's just not the right spot for him. This is my other point of contention before we talk Mac-12 rankings here, Mac. This is the coaching staff that's left at UCLA. For those of you not familiar, the guy in the background that looks like he should be on a surfer commercial or in the remake of Baywatch is one Jerry Neuheisel, who is now calling the offense at UCLA. The gentleman in the foreground, that is Tim Skipper, who is the interim coach. And I don't understand why so many people are not getting this right now. Tim Skipper, who did a good job in the same role at Fresno State as well. Tim Skipper, if you're listening up in Corvallis, Oregon, and we appreciate you, I think would be a hell of a guy to bring in there with the revamped Pac-12. But just wanted to point that out. Foreground, actual interim head coach. Background, Rick Neuheisel's son, who's doing a fantastic job calling the offense for the Bruins, who are suddenly red hot. And isn't it crazy, Mac? If you look at the Bruins schedule, if you pull it up real fast, I know this is completely unprompted here, but I saw it today and I thought about this and I went, UCLA could actually be the biggest pain in the ass to the finish of the Big Ten standings. And you tell me if you agree with that. I'm going to see if I can pull them up real fast here. Actually, not, because I'll end up kicking us off the road. So why don't you read the folks the rest of the schedule for the Bruins?
All right. So they're home against Maryland. Then they go on the road to Indiana, home against Nebraska, at Ohio State, home against Washington, and then at USC. Yeah, you're right. They're right in the middle of it, aren't they?
every team they play down the stretch here, with the exception of maybe Maryland, it has a fighting chance to maybe get themselves into the college football playoffs. UCLA is the team that could screw a lot of that up. Isn't that describes your topsy-turvy better than anything?
Yeah, I mean UCLA has looked like world beaters the last couple of weeks after looking like absolute, pile of dog excrement before that. So yeah, I mean it's the same thing. I mean, you look again. I'll just stay right there. Like USC is the same thing. I'm like I don't know how much I trust you. USC. I mean, there's part of me that's like I look at them and I go, oh well, maybe, but I guess we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. I
We'll
don't
get
want to
that
give too much
answer
away.
this weekend. Speaking of what Mack is referring to here, if you missed it right before the show, we put it out at a different time today just to try and get it in front of more eyeballs. So hopefully you saw it. If you didn't, here is this week's. Not those two guys.
Not those two guys.
There it is. There is this week's Mac 12 rankings. So as you can see, we have a new number one team, our number one team from the first 2 weeks of the poll. And again, for those of you joining for the first time, welcome in. Feel free to comment along. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show. TJ, Mack, and myself have a spreadsheet where every Sunday we put out who we think the new top 12 is. And obviously you can see there's already some disagreement on it because we have a tie at 12. But this is the three of us together. So sometimes Mac is the messenger on our social channels, and we get some very well-worded emails and direct messages back off of those. This is all three of us together. So our number one team fell to 9. Now, I can tell you personally, I did not drop our number one team to 9 in my poll, and that's why I wanted to put this up for the first time in graphic form instead of on the bottom where you can miss it. What, to you, Mac, makes dropping a team... And I'll out you here just for the sake of conversation. You dropped Oregon in your poll from 1 to 9. I think you might have had them 1 or 10. I don't remember.
Yeah, they were lower, yeah.
Yeah, and I think where TJ and I put them, kept them at 9. So what to you constitutes how a team should be looked at in the poll?
So, again, using Oregon as our example, they lost and they lost at home, but they lost to a good team. I understand that. But that I mean, obviously that's going to drop them down, but I'm going to also reward the teams that won. And that's kind of it. And so that's kind of how I kind of move them down. I'm like, Indiana had to move up. Texas A&M played well. Ole Miss didn't play well, but again, at the end of the year, all they count is the number of wins, not how you won. And all those other teams above them, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and Alabama, all won games. I just thought that was a slot where, again, right ahead of Georgia, another team that won. Now, people say, well, why didn't you move Georgia Tech up? Well, I just don't think that Georgia Tech has played, as of this point, the competition that some of these other teams have played. And kind of in my mind, I kind of play that as well. I say, okay, if Oregon played Georgia Tech, who would I take? Well, I would think I would take Oregon, and I don't think it would be close. And so I kind of play that into it a little bit. But that's why I moved them as far down as I can. I was just looking. I actually have. I moved Oregon actually all the way down to 11. That's why they're so low in R. I moved them down to 11. I actually have Georgia Tech ahead of Oregon.
Yeah, and it's an interesting debate. And as we found out this year, there's going to be more stock put into how you look in a loss as they evaluate games. So I think where Oregon might get hurt by beating what looks like a weaker Penn State team. And the other part of this is, again, and this was another shitty thing that happened to Penn State this weekend, was the injury to Drew Aller. He's now out for the rest of the year. So you can't look at how Penn State finishes the season for anybody that beats them or had played them earlier. You have to split this season into... So I think the teams that counteract or cross-pass, I should say, with Penn State is going to be interesting to see how they're shaped. Another interesting thing that I noticed from this, and again, we have a 12A and a 12B, but our 12s are both SEC teams. The AP Top 25 has 6 SEC teams. Our Mack 12 actually technically has 7 with the tie there. So what I found interesting is we have a 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and in the AP poll we have a 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, and 11. Oklahoma is actually just out of the AP poll at 20 or at 14. So I think that's the interesting thing here is how we view the SEC teams, and obviously on that top 10 right there, you've got 2 of them, or 2 games where 2 of them are playing each other. So 4 of the top 10 SEC teams in action against each other this weekend. Oklahoma is interesting to me. You saw the game as all of us did, and I mean it's one of those games you typically always watch, even if you don't like both teams, especially now that sports wagering is legal in a lot of places. But who in the hell at Oklahoma cleared John Mateer to play this weekend?
I know.
Well, I get it. Like, I really get it, Mac, but he didn't look like he was anywhere ready rep-wise to play in that game.
No, and I mean, we talked about it. There were some message boards that were saying he was going to play, and even though it was denied, by the coaching staff that he wasn't going to play. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to surprise Texas and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, he didn't look. I mean, I can't imagine a broken thumb you're able to play in a couple of weeks. It just, I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense to me whatsoever. I mean, did you think that's your season hinged on that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they did. Maybe they thought this is one that we had to have. But, and here's the thing. I mean, going into, Texas looked like, again, I didn't think Texas looked very good at any point this year, but they finally stepped it up and played really, really well. So now what do you do? If you're Oklahoma, now what do you do? Do you play him this week? I mean, he has to play this week, right? If he played last week, he has to play this week. I mean, and it's, just like that team right back there, ASU did the same thing with their quarterback. They sat their quarterback out and got absolutely throttled. Now I wonder about this week, what's going to happen.
Yeah, you could, what everybody was loving thinking about it at the beginning of the year was Baron Morton against Sam Leavitt, and this game might not have either one of them playing in it. So interesting stuff to pay attention to. Oklahoma, they've got a tough one. Early kickoff at Williams-Brice in Columbia against South Carolina, who, at 3-3, they and 1-3 in the SEC need to be taken a hell of a lot more seriously than what their record shows. We've also got LSU and Vandy playing this weekend. Can Vandy actually move the ball against LSU's defense? So I think this weekend, I think the Big Ten is top heavy. I think the SEC legitimately only has 2 teams that can win a title, and they're fat in the middle. And the Big 12 has the biggest swing capability, is the way I would look at what I've seen in this part of the year. Is there anything that jumps out? Final word, college football, before we transition over to the NFL.
No, I'm excited though. I'm going to head down to Tempe this week.
Oh, I was going to ask you that if we had confirmed that or not yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna head down. So that that was a matchup that we wanted to see. Again, we were hoping that there was a little more to it, but I'm excited because I really want to see this Texas Tech team. It's going to be I don't know. I don't even know kind of what to expect. I mean, ASU did not look good, especially. I can understand getting just 10 points on an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint, they just got absolutely hammered. And I'm just thinking, this Texas Tech team is much better offensively than Utah. So I'm anxious to see. I want to see what this Texas Tech offense looks like with my own eyes. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, they may not have their starting quarterback, but I mean, I think we said it. I think all think that Texas Tech could be a team that could be a surprise come playoff time. So it's going to be fun.
I'll give an early. I know we're going to do liquid locks at the end here, but for me, it's the ASU offense against the Texas Tech defense in this game. So even if Morton and Leavitt don't play, I think Leavitt is looking like more of a for sure. Morton, that's something to keep an eye on. But can Arizona State with Jeff Sims move the ball against this Texas Tech defense? I think this game would have been around I'm going to say a 5 to 7 point range if both quarterbacks were playing, I still think Texas Tech would be favored. I think Arizona State's got a chance to absolutely get their asses handed to them this weekend.
I want to know, did you hear Kenny's press conference and what he said about himself? Uh,
No, I
he,
didn't.
he
Usually that's must see for me, but I didn't see
yeah.
this week.
So he basically blasted himself. He said that everything that goes wrong in this program is my fault. I'm the one who brought these kids in. I'm the one who does the game planning. I mean, and you don't hear coaches do this very often,
No.
but he just basically said, listen, it's not you're pointing fingers. No, you don't point fingers. It's me. This is on me. And
Mm-hmm.
whether we weren't prepared or didn't have the right schemes or didn't have the right play calls, it is all on me. And I love Kenny. I really do. I'm excited. That's one part I can't wait to see him again. We saw him against U of A last year. I mean, I really like. I hope. I know it goes back to our coaching conversation a little bit. I hope he doesn't go anywhere. I know he's an ASU guy, through and through. But that temptation, I'm sure, will be there. But I hope he doesn't go. But unfortunately, here's what I was going to say about this game. It seems like ASU has fallen into the same old ASU. Good one year, and then we don't hear from them for whatever. And they just, we'll see.
I know what you're getting at because I've been here long enough, as have you. I mean, was it a state officially when you were first here? Close.
You're close.
No,
Yeah,
okay,
close.
yeah, all right. ASU at 4-2, 2-1 in the Big 12. Obviously, Texas Tech 6-0 and 3-0. I said I was going to give you the final word on college football, but you walked me back to this one. Yeah. Interesting kickoff time. You don't usually see these for ASU games. 1 o'clock at Mountain America Stadium locally. If you want to watch it at home because you're not making the trip out to Arizona, you can watch it on Fox at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific. Send the check in the mail, Fox. But I don't think ASU is going to fall into typical old ASU. I think even the expectation was so damn high because they went so damn high last year. Yeah. So I think it'll feel like they didn't accomplish the same thing. They're still going to go to a high-level bowl. This is still a good football team. But the flip side, too, is I've seen this. I've seen this on so many Penn State message boards. My wish list in order for next Penn State head coach. And I've seen multiple different people with Kenny Dillingham. I can promise you one thing, folks. They will have to literally bury Kenny Dillingham. Even if they fire him, they'd still have to bury him to not bring him back under Mountain America Stadium. This guy is never leaving Arizona State. He wants to build Arizona State into a Dan Lanning, a guy he knows well, Oregon. He's never leaving Arizona State. So if you think Kenny Dillingham is going to be your football coach because your school's got money, you are so wrong. Just stop pipe dreaming things already. Let's go to the NFL.
Let's do it.
Speaking of Kenny Dillingham, Cam Scattaboo, Jackson Dart, they get mentioned in the blog. You'll like the candy tie-in to Scat and Dart. Nice. But
I can only imagine.
Last night was fun, man. We had 2 good Monday night football games. The Falcons knock off the Bills in Atlanta. Bears and Commanders was an incredible game. My Bears got the win. I told you they were coming for that division title.
Yeah.
And in this NFL season where everybody's just kind of, the Bears can still win the North. 3 in a row for the Bears now.
Yeah.
2 in a row by the exact same score, 25-24. I've been trying to find out if that had ever happened before last night. I can't find it yet, but 25-24 back-to-back weeks. Jake Moody, the hero for the Chicago Bears, on a wet and sloppy field in D.C. Landover, actually. Northwest Stadium, which I was watching that, Mack, last night, and I know we talked about this last week. How in the hell does Northwest Financial Bank, whatever they are, how does the Northwest and the Washington Commanders even work? Because I'm thinking Seattle. I know you could be like Northwest Virginia or something like that, but...
So I got one for you. I was in a league
These
I'm a
damn
geek.
directional schools screwing
Yeah.
everything up.
No, I was in a Stratomatic baseball league with a bunch of friends of mine.
You want to tell this
It,
publicly?
yes, I do. I'm proud of it. I
Okay.
played it since I've
Okay.
been 5 years old, and I'm in the
He still
northeastern.
does, folks,
I
like
still do.
legitimately.
Yeah, it's right here. It's right next to me.
I was gonna say it's
Um,
got to be an arm's reach.
it's not far. Northeastern part of Connecticut. So where Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island all come together. That's where I was, and I was on the Western Conference team.
Oh Jesus!
Figured that one out.
You sound like the dopes that are trying to realign Major League Baseball right now in their
Oh,
fantasy plans.
goodness gracious.
Unfriggin' believable. But that also capped off another kind of interesting weekend in the NFL, Mac. We saw a
Yeah.
little bit of kind of everything last weekend when it comes to we had a 4-1 versus 4-1 battle in the NFC against two teams that are about as banged up as possible and still succeeding, and then the 49ers lose, and this is a no-brainer. They lose the most important part of their entire team, their literal heartbeat, and Fred Warner. And they end up coming away losers, the Niners do. They now will travel back home and take on Atlanta, who is Mr. Primetime this year on Sunday Night Football
Yes.
next week. But, we saw a butt-ugly game to start the morning in London. We saw a very competitive game in Indy, a very competitive game in Miami. I've got some serious questions about the Chargers going forward. Patriots Saints was one of the better
Pretty
games
good,
I
yeah.
saw. The Cowboys lost to the Panthers. Rico Dowdle even warned the Cowboys ahead of time that he was coming for them. Usually, and that's my thing with the Cowboys this year, Mac. And again, my blog will be out early for you early risers tomorrow. You'll like the categories I put some of these teams in. But Rico Dowdle called his shot. The Dallas Cowboys that I grew up with, that dude wouldn't have run for 10 friggin' yards. If that doesn't show you how bad the Cowboys defense is, I don't know what does. The flip side of that, I want to give credit where I think it's due because we give this guy a lot of shit on this program, and rightfully so. Dak Prescott, if that team was good, is playing MVP level football.
He is. Absolutely. He's doing a really good job. But it's like you said, there's just so many darn holes in that Cowboys team. And who would have thought that we're sitting here in week 6
I know where you're going.
and no, wait, maybe you do, maybe you don't. And the team in first place in the AFC East is the New England Patriots.
You're going to trigger a couple people in this audience here. I'm glad you brought up the Patriots because they play in the East. They play in the same division with the Buffalo Bills. And it is Tuesday on this program, which means trust issues come out.
Oh,
Again, we've talked a lot about coaches tonight.
we have.
Bobby Babich, I've got a word or two that I need to have with you. The Bills defensive coordinator. Big Ed Oliver's back last night. You know that Bijan is the entire offense. Those of you that listen to somebody on this show and bet him for Offensive Player of the Year, last night was for you. Bobby Babich is running a 4-2-5 defense for the Bills. And I wanted to bring this up. I thought that's what they were running. I really focused on it last night. I saw. And you're you're the more strategic one of the coaches. I'm the screw it, we're going for it right now kind of coach. That 4-2-5 defense, I know they have guys injured. I get it. But you are not stopping the run. They've given up the third most explosive plays in the NFL. 5.8 yards per carry. A couple of their games this year, they've been absolutely atrocious getting off the field on third down. You're one linebacker short when you're running a 4-2-5. And I'm not trying to sound like the X's and O's guru here because I'm not. You're one linebacker short when you're running a 4-2-5, and you can't stop the damn run. Sean McDermott's going to get the heat for this in Buffalo, and he is the head coach. But Mack, I ask you, what was Sean McDermott's background before he was hired as the coach of the Bills?
He might have run a defense or two, no? Yeah. I think, right. Yeah. Defense. Or two.
We know the situation as the defensive side of the ball was moved in Buffalo over the handful of years. McDermott took back the play calling duties from Leslie Frazier, and then he promoted Bobby Babich. If this Bills team, with the current construction of the AFC this year, doesn't get to a Super Bowl, speaking of coaches, Sean McDermott is not going to have a job anymore when they open that beautiful new building. And I think Bills fans would laud Sean McDermott for getting them back to being a relevant, powerful football team, and he should be lauded. At the same time, eventually, James Franklin couldn't get the job done. I think Sean McDermott's in the same boat. And if Sean McDermott wants to keep his job, it's, hey, Bobby, I stuck my neck out for you, and last year you did a good job. Historically good job. Bro, if I see these guys go out there in a 4-2-5 one more damn time, I will walk you out of the stadium myself. I think that's where we're at with the Bills. And I get it, the injuries. And Matt Milano, how many times have you guys heard me on this program talk about Matt Milano and how important? My team just lost the literal heartbeat in Fred Warner. Matt Milano is that to the Bills defense. So I get it. But why are you running a 2-linebacker freaking defense when you can't stop the run? Am I the only one that thinks that?
No, I mean, like you said, it's not like it was just last night. It's been the entire season, and so again, they're not getting any pressure from their guys up front. If you're not getting any pressure on the guys up front, all that's doing is making bigger holes, and there's nobody there to fill those gaps that are there. So, obviously we're not there on a daily basis. We don't know the X's and O's of why they're doing this. But listen, the bottom line is this. It's not working. That's all we need to know. It's not working. Something has to change, or someone has to change.
Remember when they fired Ken Dorsey in 2023 when the offense was just kind of sputtering? And then Joe Brady, here we go. I would venture to say, and Bills fans, and I know we have Bills fans that watch this program, so if you are watching, help me help you. Or help me help, I don't know. Either way, let's scratch each other's backs here. I would venture to say Ken Dorsey's offense in 2023, when he got canned, and it was later in the season, to be fair, when he got canned, he just got flat fired, was better than Babich's defense has been this year. And I'm not saying they should fire Babich, but maybe Sean needs to take over to survive himself here. We had a long conversation on our NFL kickoff show about Sean McDermott. I mean, TJ was all over it.
He was. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he may even hang up or become part of one of his hall pass sessions, because it's not happening. And, for Buffalo, there's one end result. The end result is the Super Bowl. And it's, you don't have to win the Super Bowl, but you got to get to the Super Bowl. Let's be there. And listen, they're still in the conversation for that. But the last 2 weeks, and I don't think losing to Atlanta like they did last night, I mean, I could kind of see that one. But I think the loss to the Pats the week before really, I think, exemplified the struggles that this team has more than even what we saw last night. Because, I mean, the Patriots aren't the greatest team running the ball, and they kind of had their way not only running and passing the ball, but they kind of dominated that game at home in Buffalo. That you just don't see that. So that was one that still sticks in my craw. That there's something internally wrong with that Buffalo team.
Yeah, and I don't want to throw it all on the defense. Here's the other thing. Here's the other problem with the Bills. Sorry, this turned into a 20-minute diatribe by me on the Bills. But I called them the best team in the NFL yesterday, and 2 hours later they did that to me. For proper context here, I had to read this 5 times today because I didn't think it was actually real. Atlanta is number 1 in the league in total defense. They are number 2 in the league in total offense, number 1 in the league in rushing. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but this is statistically the strongest team in football, the Falcons. So let's keep that. The problem is last night, the Bills' offense, same shit. When it was Allen or Cook or Allen and Cook, it was fine. The Shakirs, the Colemans, Palmer, Moore, all these guys haven't panned out to kind of take that step we knew they needed to take. So you have Josh Allen, you have James Cook, and I know they were without Dalton Kincaid last night. Dawson Knox caught a huge touchdown pass early, but Kincaid's another big part of that. But holy shit, man, somebody other than 4 and 17 has to do something for you. And think about it this way. If you're Sean McDermott, this is Sean, I hope you're watching. This is the thing that would get you to start calling defensive plays. Where's the Super Bowl this year, Mac?
I believe it's in Santa Clara.
That is the home of which NFL team?
I believe that's the 49ers.
The 49ers, the team that Josh Allen grew up a fan of, their stadium is hosting the Super Bowl for a guy that is from a couple hours away. Sean, save your job and give us all what we would like to see, and the Bills in the damn Super Bowl. But get out of the 4-2-5. Done with the Bills. Sorry.
It's all good.
2-1 still Dodgers, bottom of the 5th in Milwaukee. Your trust issues. So I can catch my breath here and not have a heart attack.
Oh my gosh. Well, luckily I won't have to worry about them this week, but it's the Baltimore Ravens. I just, oh my gosh, they stink. Just flat out, they stink. They stink on offense. They stink on defense. I mean, you talk about, I mean, I don't think there's any way that Harbaugh would get fired, but goodness gracious.
I was going to set you up for a higher buy.
John
Harbaugh gets fired. Jake Bowers, not quite all the way out. Still 2-1.
I mean, his job's pretty safe, but I mean, good golly, this team is they're unwatchable. They really are. I mean, I don't get it. You still have a horse. Do they understand that Derrick Henry plays running back? Do they understand that? Does anybody know that? Because I don't know. And I get it. You lose your top quarterback, but you're a professional football team that was supposed to win maybe win a Super Bowl, get to the playoffs. I mean, they're all, and that's just from an offensive standpoint. From a defensive standpoint, they're really bad. The other team in there, and it's kind of the same thing. It's Philadelphia. I kind of joke, but that's like the anti-Super Bowl, Baltimore and Philly. Both these teams could have been somebody's Super Bowl. I'm sure people thought that could be a Super Bowl. There's no way I can see either of these teams even making the playoffs the way they're going. I mean, Philly was absolutely dominated last week by the Giants. Come on. So hey, good thing for Baltimore. They don't play this week, so they'll get a pass next week. But I can't believe that I'm saying that Philly and Baltimore are two really bad football teams right now.
Okay, that leads me into an interesting question. I'm actually high on the Ravens coming out of the bye. They're going to get... So I think there's 4 teams in the league right now that out of default, no matter what their current situation is, are going to get better. 4 teams that actually matter. I'm leaning this way because I didn't transfer it off my whiteboard to my notes. San Francisco, Detroit, and Tampa Bay are all going to get exponentially better out of default because of all the injuries to key parts.
Right.
I think the Ravens are the 4th team in that conversation. They've got a lot of guys out. We know Matabike is not going to be back. They got a lot of guys out on the defensive side. Now, with what we've seen out of their defensive coordinator, and I've said the reason the Ravens suck on defense and have for a couple of years is in Seattle now and Mike McDonald. But when you look at the schedule coming out of their bye, the Bears, at Miami, at Minnesota, at Cleveland, Jets and Bengals, Steelers, then Bengals. Their final 3 are Patriots, Packers, Steelers. I think you could see the Ravens look like they're actually making a push for the playoffs in the second half. I really do. Okay. Which team are you? Go ahead and follow on that because I got a follow up from before.
Okay. but here's my thing. They've got 5 losses, and I'm looking at that schedule.
Right.
Let's be honest. They usually split with Pittsburgh, so there's a 6 loss. They'll probably we'll say they'll lose one more North game. So now you're at 7 losses, and you still have to go to Minnesota and Green Bay. You're looking at just I get the wins, but you're still looking at maybe 7 or 8 losses. You're not making the playoffs with 8 losses.
I'm not saying I think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to, because if I look at the NFL standings here in the AFC by a playoff kind of eyeball, Indy, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Bills, the Jaguars, the Broncos, there's your 7. Kansas City, Houston, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, Baltimore. It's not crazy to think that only 2 games that separate the Chiefs and the Ravens, and then every other team in between there, could be made up based on that schedule. Does it look likely? No, and I don't think they're going to, but I also don't think John Harbaugh is coaching for his job, and I also think that a lot of people are going to sleep on the Ravens down the stretch here, and it's going to come back to kind of bite you in the ass. Now, which team do you think is worse off? Because you mentioned both of them in what you were saying. Well, you mentioned one, and I went on a 30-minute diatribe on the other. Who's in worse shape, Buffalo or Philadelphia?
I will
Same
say,
record.
I would say probably Philadelphia because I think kind of the same thing. I think the Bills' schedule is going to even itself out a little bit. I think it's a little bit softer for them. I mean, I look at what Philly still has. I mean, they got to play the Giants again. They still have the Lions. They have the Bears on there. They have the Commanders. They have the Bills. Actually, the Commanders twice. I think from a schedule standpoint, I think it's going to be a harder road for Philadelphia. I think Buffalo could probably figure it out because their schedule is going to be a little bit softer. So I think the Bills' schedule will help them out more than Philadelphia's schedule will help them out.
So, yeah, I think it's Buffalo. I think Philadelphia, their schedule, yeah, it's definitely harder than Buffalo's, but I think Buffalo's run defense is a reason I could go, I don't know if this team can even get to the AFC title game. That's where I'm at with it.
Right, but you have to think that they're going to fix that. I mean, they have to buy this. I mean,
so
I mean, you just I can't imagine that they. I mean, maybe they knew that the buy they have an early-ish buy, and they're like, okay, we know there's an issue, so let's see what we can do, to fix that. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I was just looking, who do they have coming out of the buy?
Kansas City, I think.
Oh goodness, well, that's not going to tell us much because Kansas City can't run the ball, so.
Well, maybe it will. You right now, Kansas City is more in this than you think they are. You guys laughed at me a couple weeks ago when I said I would double down before the Chargers lost a couple in a row. I said I would double down on Kansas City.
Yeah.
They get Rishi Rice back this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, then give them a couple weeks of everybody playing together, and that defense is always. I'm telling you. I know everybody, especially T. Especially T, has Chiefs fatigue. But until Mahomes isn't playing quarterback there, you're going to have the fatigue.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. We're 6 weeks in. They're like, this is the year the Chiefs aren't going to get anywhere. I'm telling you, this is the more of the years that they get somewhere. That's what makes them so damn dangerous. I know. My own damn team's lost 2 friggin' Super Bowls to them. Anyways, baseball stuff going on. We've got another close one in Milwaukee. I don't think that surprises anybody. Let's start with the American League Championship Series, Mac. Seattle has absolutely put the whooping on the Blue Jays, and now they're going back home. And I think a lot of people have forgotten this about this round of the playoffs. It's 2-3-2. It's not 2-2-1-1-1. Right. It is highly likely that the ALCS does not visit Toronto again. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have absolutely just... And Jorge Polanco, I've got something I can think in my head about you, but I'm not going to say it because if I say it, then it's going to travel to somebody, and then they're going to screw it up for me. But Jorge Polanco, Mike's Man Crush postseason edition drop in. There you go.
There you go.
What do you make of that series so far, man? I don't think it's how either one of us thought it was going to go.
No, I mean, especially the way Toronto kind of handled New York, you kind of figured that they were going to be in pretty good shape. But listen, Seattle has gone on these absolute benders during the year. I mean, that's just how the West was. I mean, but they went through these absolute times where they were unstoppable. And we said it right from the beginning. Their pitching is good. We know their pitching is good, and we're starting to see that. We had some questions about whether they could do it from an offensive standpoint, and they're doing it from an offensive standpoint. And they've done it really in the second half of the season. They were as good as anybody in baseball, and they're a scary team. They really are. It's that lineup. They don't strike out a ton. They put the ball in play a lot. I mean, again, they're a fun team to watch, and the bottom line is, and we saw it in that long, in their clinching game, you know, they were rolling out all their starting pitchers, boom, 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 and Castillo was out there and everything. I mean, that was great to see. I love seeing those guys, like Logan, guys who never relieved before. They've been starters their whole career, and they go out and they give you 3 or 4 innings in a game that they had to obviously have. That's what the playoffs are about. Mm-hmm. That's why, you said, 6-man rotation. You obviously don't need a 6-man rotation in the postseason. But if you have 6 good starters and you can put 3 of them in the bullpen and they can give you 3 or 4 in a night where you need it, makes all the difference in the world coming back.
Yeah, good one. Speaking of that same concept going on in Milwaukee right now, top of the 6th. 2-1 Dodgers. Will Smith at the plate for the Dodgers. Freddie Peralta still in the game for the Brewers. Only 85 pitches at this point through 5 1/3. And you've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto still on the mound. I think he might be coming out before this inning, but just only having a side eye on it. But right now, Peralta has been every bit that the Brewers needed him. I mean, the top side of the Dodgers order tonight.
Nothing.
0 for 3, 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 2. Go down to Max Muncy, 0 for 2. You got to go down to Teoscar Hernandez, who had the homer in the first. When we get to game 3 here tomorrow of the ALCS, Shane Bieber is going to take the bump for the Jays in Seattle against George Kirby. And you look at their postseason ERAs, Bieber 6.75 in their last series, and then Kirby's at a 2.7. I'm interested to see the crowd dynamic because we've talked about that a lot.
Yes.
Our guy Ben up in Seattle sent me a video the other night after the Marathon game when they walked it off. The place is going to be loud. It's going to be live. But in playing the Blue Jays, a lot of the Blue Jays fans have infiltrated the stadium at a pretty high level over the last couple of years. I'm really interested to see the vibe, especially with the Jays down 2 and 3 straight in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, it was the matchup that we talked about that we really wanted to see because of what Toronto does. I really can't see a sweep in this series. I really can't. I mean, I think Toronto is going to find a way to get one of these games. And we'll go from there. But Seattle's got like you said, 2 out of the next 3 at home. They don't want to go back to Toronto. That's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to go back. We know what happens when teams.
Do you think it gets back to Toronto?
I think it goes to 6. I really do. I think it goes to 6.
Interesting stuff there. The Dodgers get the win in game 1. Again, winning so far right now as we speak in game 2. Freddie Freeman continues to be a pain in the ass for the Brewers. Now, Pat Murphy, and this is part of the reason we love Pat Murphy. He eats shit out of his back pocket, and he gives you quotes like this. He's like, yeah, Freddie Freeman's been a Dodger killer or a Brewer killer around here for a long time. Hopefully he'll just miss his alarm or something tomorrow. Freddie Freeman in the postseason against the Brewers, and this is kind of ironic because they're winning tonight, and Freeman is 0 for 3 tonight. 6 for 18 with 4 extra base hits and a 1232 OPS, 5 career postseason games against the Crew going into tonight. in his entire career, dating back to 2017 is when this started. 307, 12 homers, 36 RBIs, 966 OPS in 53 total games, including the playoffs against the Brewers. He was the guy last night. He's reached base safely in 48 of those 53 contests. We also saw the weirdest damn outfield play I've seen in a long-ass time last night. Just an incredibly crazy game. And as we're seeing it here unfold in Game 2, Mac, I don't think people realize how similar these two teams are and how evenly matched they are, despite the massive Grand Canyon between payrolls.
Yeah, I mean the Brewers can match arm for arm, not only in rotation but in the bullpen as well. And they're a scrappy team. I mean that's the thing about this. I mean just right now the bottom line is the Dodgers are out pitching the Milwaukee Brewers right now. Goodness. Somebody just hit a home run. Who was it? Max Muncy.
Oh, you were ahead of me.
Well, I've got the game cast here, and
okay, that's why you're ahead.
I saw the little ball go way.
Here, I'll react to it live for you.
All right, here we go.
Oh yeah, he freaking smoked that thing.
Yeah, it was like dead
smoked
center.
It like a brat to center.
Oh,
Sal Frelick had a decent shot at it there. So it's now 3-1. So Max Muncy does the damage tonight. Interesting stuff. Brewers had a chance last night in the 9th inning. And I love Bryce Terang. I cannot rave. Bryce Terang has moved into Bobby Witt Jr. status for me.
There you go.
So boom. If this was a shelf of bobbleheads of Mike's Man Crush people.
Bryce Terang.
Yeah, Terang would be up there. Dude, you got to let that ball hit you in the knee in the 9th inning. And I get the risk there. I mean, I get the risk. His whole kneecap could have exploded if it did. But that, in that situation, man, you got to, especially on the back leg. And again, I hate to criticize him, but on the back leg, you got to lean into that thing, man.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, if it's a curveball, it's one thing, but you're just so.
That's Blake Trinan. How hard do you think it was?
Well, yeah, harder than I want to take. I'll tell you that.
Off the kneecap.
But yeah, I mean, but it's like, I think it's lower body. I mean, I think if it's an upper body, he probably will take that. But just lower body, like that, it just doesn't. Trust me, it doesn't feel good. Below the body doesn't feel good. Above, you can take it. In the butt, I'll take them all day in the butt. But but. But not.
Folks, I can promise you're going to hear that cut again and again. Tremendous.
I finally broke you.
I think we should just walk out of here on that one. You've been trying to do that for 3 years on the show. You finally did it. For those of you that have followed us from the beginning, you actually understand how many times he's done that to me. Very purposely in what he says. Hey, you know what? You can't groove that one down the middle, and you got to take it off the shin sometimes. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. But I do think I will try and isolate. I will try and isolate it for you later. We could sell that. I think that is the biggest thing as the series will move to Los Angeles after tonight. Is these two teams are so dead evenly matched. It just, you don't think it because we know all the names of the Dodgers. We know what the Dodgers spent. Like Abner Uribe is in right now in the top of the 6th inning for the Brewers. This dude just throws nothing but freaking gas. And then your guy, the lumberjack, McGill. I mean, they're in the way they play, they can hit home runs with you if they need to. They can out base run you. They can out defend you. As I say that, Abner Uribe throws one off the dugout there. Oh, Teoscar, what are you doing? He was freaking loafing that. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I think he thought the ball went out of play.
No.
And because he was half-assing it, they threw it to second. Now Murph's out thinking maybe they got him. It was real damn close. That was a weird play. It had hit Uribe, went off to the side. He had to field it in a slide. If this series gives us one of these kind of plays every friggin' night, must see TV
I know.
here.
It's crazy.
Crazy. You think the ALCS goes 6. Let's assume the Dodgers hold this lead tonight. And they go back to Los Angeles up 2-0. The Brewers done?
Yeah, they are. As much as I don't want them to be, I just think going to LA is. I mean, to have to win 2 out of 3, I think it's gonna. I mean, they could do it. They've done it. I just think it's. I think it's going to be too much for them. Like I said, the Dodgers right now are just playing really, really well, and they're getting the long ball, which is. I mean, unfortunately, in the postseason, when you get guys hitting home runs, makes it so. I mean, because it's hard to put big rallies together. I mean, we haven't seen it. I mean, Seattle a little bit, but I mean, we just don't usually see big rallies. And right now, the Dodgers offense is. I mean, when the bottom half of your order is producing like the way they are, they're going to be they're going to be really tough.
And what did I say about the Brewers all year? I wondered if their power could carry a whole postseason. So far, and I mean, if there's any team, Mac, that we've seen over the last handful of years, and when I say this, I'm talking about the idiots in Boston, the Giants teams that went from wild card to title. Like, if there's any team that could go down 0-2 ahead to LA and bring it back up 3-2 in the series, I would think it's the Brewers. If there's any team that would get swept in the same scenario, I could also see it being the Brewers, and that's the wild card that the Brewers are.
Yep.
I mean, if the Brewers and Mariners play in the World Series, somebody's going to win their first title. We could also get technically a Seattle versus Seattle World Series if you get the lineage there.
Yes.
Pilots and Brewers.
Pilots.
I'm thinking I'm thinking we're staring at in the face of an all West Coast World Series here is my thing, which I didn't think out of the possible outcomes that was the one that was most likely, but it damn sure looks like it.
It really does. I mean, and that's going to be very, very interesting too, because I actually, again, from a pitching standpoint, Seattle can pitch with LA. It's going to come down to who can score some runs. It really is. I mean, you ever see you've seen those maps they show like the United States and it shows like who's rooting for who. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be all Mariners and there's going to be like LA is going to be the only part that's going to be, Dodger blue. Everything else will be, Mariners colors. I mean, that would be a very interesting series.
And we're starting to see, and it's something that TJ's banged the drum on a lot, here before we get to our liquid locks and get up on out of here. But TJ talked about it, I think a lot of people just kind of half overlooked it because they had, the extra 5 days or whatever it was. Bo Bichette, how much of a catalyst he is for Toronto. And I think if anybody thought the series was going to go back to Seattle the way it has, that it was going to be in some tight games, not in Seattle just bringing out the freaking paddle and taking care of business. So I think we're looking at an all West Coast World Series, but we'll see as it goes. Obviously, this one's still not done tonight, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Liquid Locks time on this Tuesday. Tomorrow night on the program, we will have TJ back. We're going to look at the Metro Division. We're going to look ahead to the games in college football and in the NFL that we're looking at on our schedule for this weekend. Of course, Thursday on the program, Lunchtime Live. That'll just be me, and we'll talk about the Icy Hot Bowl. Joe Flacco gave us the quote of all quotes today as Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco on Thursday Night Football. I think your Steelers might be in trouble. Maybe that's in my liquid locks. Maybe it's not, but fun stuff all week long. And Friday, I'll actually be joined on Friday's Lunchtime Live in the middle of the program by Herb from the Herb and Roger podcast. We're going to break down
Nice.
specifically the Bama-Tennessee clash this weekend. So lots of fun
Yes.
stuff this week. Liquid Locks, bets we love. Those of you that are new, welcome. We call them Liquid Locks because they're as solid as water. We always throw out two of our early likes early in the week here on the Tuesday portion of the program. Michigan State and now talk of the town, Indiana, and rightfully so. Interested to see this one. I think we could see some fireworks, so I jumped on that one when it was at 52. There's some 53s. I think most 52 and a halves right now. I got it at 52, so that's one of them. And then Monday Night Football next week, Bucks and Lions, which should have been a really great game, and I think will still be a great game, but no Brian Branch. He's suspended for his idiocy after the game against the Chiefs last weekend. So you're talking about one of the best safeties in the league against Tampa Bay's offense. Problem is, we're likely not having an appearance from Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, and maybe not Bucky Irving. So it's Baker and a cast of a bunch of guys. I wouldn't count the Bucks out, but I think this is a horrible spot for them. And this line will move and continue to move up. I jumped at Lions minus 4.5 on Monday Night Football. I think this is a really bad spot for Tampa.
I can say that first one, Michigan State, Indiana. Indiana could get the 52 by themselves.
Exactly what I was thinking. I tried that with Texas a couple of times this year. Definitely did not work out. So now we're Googling Indiana's offensive input.
There you go.
The man we created Liquid Locks for. What you got for me?
I'm going to go. I got Iowa State -3 at Penn State. I mean, that scares me a little bit because you never know how a team is going to react to their coach being fired.
Exactly.
I mean, they could come out, but I'm gonna take Iowa State -3, and then I went local. Well, not really local to me right now, but I went back home. The big matchup between UConn and Boston College. I took UConn plus the 1.5. Yeah, go Huskies. They beat them last night in basketball, so why can't we do it in football?
The Jim Mora Jr. Bill O'Brien clash.
Yeah, talk about again two coaches who could be on the move for various reasons.
Bill O'Brien back to Penn State. That's what we all want to see.
Ooh, no.
Who is your call your shot here? I'm trying to look something up. Also trying to buy time. Call your shot.
That's okay.
Who do you think gets a job at Penn State?
I think there's a coach in Nebraska that will probably get the job.
Matt Rule, huh?
I do. If you saw his press conference, he's I think he's from that area. He went to school at Penn State. I think it makes all the sense in the world.
I saw his name a couple of times, and then I saw some specific language in there that if him or his representation is contacted by somebody and the athletic director doesn't know that they're talking, it's like a direct violation, no buyout on his contract. So I think there's some interesting stuff there on Rule, but I've seen his name probably more than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, this was a question that was, by somebody asked him about it, and you could just listen. If you're from that area, if you've got, I mean, I think that's any player's dream, right? To go back to your alma mater and coach them. I mean, I think it is, and just while watching that interview, and the way he spoke about it, I think there's something there.
It'd be interesting to find out. Does Dylan Raiola follow him to Penn State?
Yeah, you never know.
Because right now, for the rest of the year at Penn State, at least as far as we can tell, Ethan Grunkemeyer. Ethan, I'm very sorry if I messed that up. 6'2" freshman from Lewis Center, Ohio, has only thrown a couple of balls this year, 8 for 11 for 105 yards and a touchdown. He's a guy now. And Drew Aller made a decision to come back, and we never want to see anybody get hurt, but I hope this doesn't affect his draft stock, but he's going to definitely have to have a good combine.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the other reason why I thought Penn State -3. I mean, you're dealing with a brand new quarterback in there. That's kind of tough. We've seen kind of how that can go. So Yeah, and Drill, I mean, he was.
You're taking Penn State -3?
No, Iowa State Iowa -3.
Oh, you just pissed off everybody in Ames and
Did I say
wherever.
Iowa State?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
They're having some troubles on their own too. So,
yeah.
Any final words from you tonight as we watch the end of what looks to be a interesting finish in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I'm good. This is a liquid lock extra.
Oh, bonus.
And it's for both of us because it involves both of us tonight.
I didn't sign up for shit that you tied me into. This concerns me.
Oh, yes, it does. Tonight on the ice, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Is that tonight? I thought it was tomorrow.
I think it's tonight. I'm pretty sure it's tonight.
Well, here's what I'll tell you.
Well, let me double check.
Yeah, no, it is tonight.
It's tonight. Yeah,
it's in 4 minutes. Perfect timing.
Excellent.
Here's what's going to happen. The Sharks are going to lead the entire game. I would say Brent Burns, but he's not there anymore. Jarvis is going to score in the final 31 seconds and force overtime.
Again, he's done beat 3 games in a row.
And then we'll lose in overtime.
Oh, gosh.
I can't. It's already pushing me to the brink, dude. I didn't have high expectations, but son of a bitch, if I watch another goalie give up 7 goals or another goalie forget to do his main job, which is tend the freaking goal, like 2 more times, especially in the first month of the season, it's going to be a miserable hockey. Every time you and TJ are like, hey, let's talk some puck. Yeah,
I don't want to. No puck. Yeah, no, I hear you. But yeah, Hurricanes, Sharks tonight, so we'll see what happens. We'll have something to talk about tomorrow.
Tickets as low as $6.
$6, yes.
At the SAP Center, the Shark Tank.
If my helicopter wasn't down, I'd come and pick you up and we'd go. But
how about that bullshit signing by the Sharks, Dmitry Orlov, who leads the team in points through 3 games? He's just an old man. Salary dump. 4-4 Kraken and Canadiens in overtime. Again, tomorrow on the show, Metro Division, we'll start previewing some games for this weekend and the latest on this Dodgers-Brewers series. We'll get TJ's takes on how he thinks the World Series matchup will go. I think it's definitely going to be on the West Coast. So for TJ, for everybody behind the scenes, for Vegas, Mack, and Mike, tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel. You know